I'm going to bring Dr. George-Guiser in. You know, when we talked about this, uh, you linked it to how this was his choice of death was a metaphor of how he was feeling. Can you explain to the audience what that means?
As a therapist, I always reflect when people share the sacred story, how their life ended, particularly in a suicide. So I don't know, very sacredly shared this very painful story. And it was very clear to me that it was a metaphor. He could not find his footing as a Desi, as a brown, as a gay young man. He couldn't find his footing, and his major depressive disorder, which is what was the clinical diagnosis, if I remember that.
Yeah.
He felt every day, and you have to understand this. If you don't learn anything from tonight, is MDD, you always feel like you are descending. You can't get your footing. You just can't get your footing. And the way he died is a metaphor of how he held on for so long with all the support, and he could no longer hold on, and he descended. Now, I know it was very hard to watch, but I have great compassion for what he went through and what the parents have gone through as well. That's what I mean by metaphor.
You know, I read somewhere that 5% of depression is insidious, like you can't get out of it, right? Is that true? And what happens? Because here we had some parents that were so loving, that did everything that they could to save their child, right? And if this is a statistic, you know, 5% is still a huge number. What happens to these children that are in this bracket?
I want to say it again. This is unlike Desis and South Indians to go after every resource. So, Shilpa, when I heard what you and your husband and your family did, you are a rare statistic in 40 years of doing this work. I just want to tell you, the courage and the resourcefulness and the love you exhibited, I stand in awe. I just want to say that first and foremost. But I want everybody hearing this to know, he did not have dysthymia, which is a low-grade depression. We all have it. We will have it starting today. This is the shortest day of the year. We will all have it. What he had was MDD. I did ask Shilpa this, so I know this. And among major depressive disorder, there is a stuckness around 5%. You can do therapy, you can do medication, you can do all of that, but you get stuck. It's very stuck. And sometimes with the adults, I have to then recommend ECT, electric shock therapy. We generally don't do that for children. That's how stuck the brain is. So he was stuck and you were equally stuck with him. That's what I mean by the 5%.
Got it. You know, another thing is that he was a very bright kid, right? Very, very smart. Even when the teacher said that you don't have to do any homework, he continued to do it. Not in this case, but generally, you know, we as South Asians, we're pretty ambitious, right? We all come here with an immigrant dream, and that's sort of like imbibed, you know, our children imbibe that. And I think what happens is a lot of us think that just because a child is very brilliant or very ambitious, that they're not exhibiting they don't have any mental pain, right? Because they're not exhibiting it. And if they do have it, because they're smart, right? Because they're intelligent, that they're able to overcome mental health issues, right? Can you talk a little bit about that? Do you believe that to be true?
This is extremely important. The client population I work with, I did not know Shiva, but I think he was exceedingly bright and had great character. So when you take great character with great intelligence, the emotional hemorrhaging can be masked. You don't see it. I believe your son was suffering longer than he even knew. So what I'm trying to tell you is it can be masked. And we particularly, I'll speak as a South Asian, we are so proud of our accomplishments that we don't see the tiny little glimmers of their pain, because it can be hit. I'm not blaming you. I think you saw everything you needed to see, but we cannot see, we become blind because the intelligence hides the pain. And and we reward intelligence. We necessarily don't know what to do with the pain.
Very true, Asha, Dr. Asha. It's so true. I mean, I think that's one of our lessons learned, definitely, is